Hello, Serge here from the backyard driving range. We have a question today that came in from the customer service, and it starts off by saying, asking, I use a natural golf, parentheses, Mo Norman swing. What is the difference between your swing and the natural golf swing? Do you know if anyone has successfully used your swing approach with a natural golf grip, non-tapered palm grip on the club? All right, good questions. I think of all the swings out there that are presently being taught, that the number one question I receive, both on blogs, on customer service write-ins like that one, and especially in person, is the Mo Norman swing, the natural golf swing, very similar to yours, or is it the same? Yeah, I want to say it's quite similar. All right, and it's quite similar in the sense that natural golf is an on, square and solid swing, just like we are. Natural golf is a quite vertical golf swing, just like we are. So in those regards, it is very, very, very close. In fact, I actually knew Mo Norman personally. The first assistance job I ever had in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, at Sugar Mill Country Club. In the wintertime, a lot of Canadians used to hang around there, and Mo Norman, in the first 2 or 3 years that I was there, he used to hang around there when he wasn't out playing tournaments or doing some other things. And I saw many times, I used to see him every day and talk to him. I talked to him a lot. And I got to know him fairly well, watched him play a lot of golf and practice. And Mo had this one saying when he got talking about his golf swing, and he would say, and I'm going to do it this way, he would say that he would hit the ball and he would finish like this all the time. And he would say, I'm the only player who plays in a straight line. All right? And I think that I think we can also add that Sergites who make a good swing and get to a good tee finish, recoil and relax, we are in the straight line also. All right? So there are a lot of similarities. And natural golf swing is, I would definitely say, a vertical swing, on, square and solid, which means it optimizes impact. Where does the natural golf swing differ from the peak performance golf swing? Well, it differs in the setup. The natural golf swing, I think we can honestly say, and I've talked this over with Dr. Ned Armstrong, the orthopedic surgeon that I've studied with over the years, and I think anybody who's seen the peak performance golf swing, and I'm going to do it from this viewpoint, we stand in a very athletically ready position. We bend over at the waist, which kind of pushes the hips out, so we get this contour at the base of our spine here, where the belt line is. We flex, and the knees get flexed down, and the arms hang, all right, directly under our neck area. And we always say that a good position is take the thumb knuckle from here and lift it straight up, draw a straight line up, and it should be about chin to nose. Now, so we're in a very athletic, ready position, like a tennis player waiting for a serve, almost like a person on a dive, getting ready to jump into a pool, the baseball player out in the field. I call that the accordion effect. If you notice, when they get out there in the field and they do it, they just go down, right? They don't do it in steps. Now, sometimes it's good to learn it by pushing back and then coming down and then just cracking your knees a little bit, all right? But you can do it with the accordion effect very simply, all right? Now, the key is, look it, we're ready. Our arms are hanging down. Quarterback getting the snap. Natural golf on the other side of the coin, and again, I'm going to turn this way, we want a relatively narrow stance. Ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders relatively in line. We go from about this width with a wedge to about that with a driver. So our width of stance is with a driver is about what most people would consider to be a stance for a 5-iron or less. Okay. Natural golf on the other side, they want a very wide stance, really, really wide. Okay. Dr. Armstrong, one of the first times I ever sat down and talked to him about the golf swing, the setup, and the swing. And as we know, the setup determines the motion, so the setup is critical. The first thing he came out and said, one of the worst things ever for a bad back is a wide stance, because a wide stance hyperextends, I guess, whatever you want to call it. It really extends and puts a lot of pressure on the hips, so that as you start to turn a little bit, one hip, it causes hips to start tilting down and back and forth, and tilting inward, which puts stress on the back because you're just kind of like rocking your hips up and down. Whereas when we stand like this, our hips can stay much more level, and there isn't that opposing pressure on your hip sockets from the legs being so far out. So you're looking more like a triangle rather than, as I call it, the building effect. You look like a building straight up and down. All right? So Dr. Armstrong said, without a doubt, wide stance is extremely extremely bad for your back. Causes that a lot of pressure in the hips, which can start hurting the hips as well as the back. But here's the other avenue where natural golf really gets out from the peak performance golf setup, and therefore and affects the ability to really consistently hit the ball well as with reasonable distance. And most everybody I've ever talked to with the natural golf swing will tell me that they were lacking distance, and I think it's because basically of this issue. And golf is about, you know, whatever your skill level is and your strength level, hitting, at least maximizing your distance well within your power levels. All right, natural golf wants you to have, first off, they want the club in the palm. We believe you hold the club in the fingers, right? Of your top hand would be, you crimp your fingers and you lay it in the crimp. Thumb goes up on top about 1 o'clock, and then you crimp your fingers again with the right hand, and you lay them even more in the crimp. So the left hand kind of goes through the joint where the fingers are attached to the palm, diagonally from the first finger, the middle joint of your pointer finger on your top hand, and to that palm joint, so that once you grip it, the pad of the palm is resting on top, so very close to 12 o'clock, and you have the 3P grip, meaning the palm is perpendicular to the ground. Then we crimp this finger and lay it in the middle joints on the bottom hand, which for me would be the right hand, and the right thumb comes over to about 11 o'clock. So both thumbs are pointing up the forearms. Natural golf wants you to hold it in your palms. They want it to be a palm grip, both palms. All right? So you're holding it in your palms. Now, first off the bat, I mean, you have to have an extra fat big grip to have a grip on the club. To be able to have where you're not going to have a lot of spin in your hands, because when you're holding it in your palms and not in your fingers, it's very susceptible to twisting, okay? Because you don't have a really good grip on it. The other thing they wanted was, because the reason why I think they wanted to get it into the palms is because they want the forward arm arched up very high, because now what? They're having you reach for the ball a lot. They got you way out here. Look where the thumb to the up is. It's way in front of my head and way up here like this. So now when I'm addressing the ball, one of the other big issues they talk about is that when you address the ball, we address the ball basically with the club right behind the ball. Okay? Natural golf, when they get into this setup and they're holding the club like this, and they also are basically a 10-finger grip, I believe. All right? They have you starting, they get you in a wide stance, and they have you starting with the club way back here. All right? Now, I've asked everybody I've ever seen, that I've ever talked to, who's did natural golf or even taught natural golf, and I say, why do they start the club way back there? And basically the answer is it simplifies the backswing, because at this point all you have to do is think about lifting the club up. There's no backing up. So in other words, they're starting the club, so what we would think of more as being in the catcher's mitt. All right? Instead of being up in the air, though, it's right here. So at that point you just lift up. And that sounds really good. All right? But I don't think that's the real answer. I think it's a great cop-out answer. The reason why they start over here, and I've asked anybody, that's the only answer I get. That, or I really don't know, they just say to do it, so I do it. And I could do it. Now, any of you who've done natural golf or know people who have done it, what's one of the biggest issues they had? They had issues with consistent ball striking, hitting the ball solid. They hit it they had issues with, they started getting a lot of back problems, despite the fact many of their announcements used to say that it is a back-friendly golf swing. It is not. All right? And so the key is, why do they really have to start there instead of here? Well, it's simple. It's called balance, dynamic balance. If you have that very reaching grip from here, again, I'm going to put the ball here, and you start at the ball with your very wide stance and your big reach, and you start here, and you start to lift the club up, you're going to fall forward every time. There's no way. Your hands are so far outside of your body, and whether you look at it from the front view or the back view, it goes both ways. If you get in here and this position of that thumb up is out here someplace, and you start at the club and you come back here and you start to lift the club up, you're falling down. You have no chance to make a balanced backswing. So watch what happens when you put the club way back here. You can do it now. Still might have a little bit of balance problems, but you can still do it. And why can you do it now? Because starting here, look at where your hands are. They're closer to your chin, and the start lifting with a little bit of turn, you're underneath your neck, you have a chance to have balance. All right? From a front view, it'll look like this. Once your hands start back here, immediately turn. You can see the left arm and shafts over the toes, and they're up. And so they were actually limited turn swingers too. So that's why they had a good chance to hit the ball solid. But the problem is when you're reaching that far and you start the club here and you get here, what has to happen on a downswing? Your extension going back to the ball is now doing what? Because you're reaching so much, it's pulling you into the ball, and there's going to be problems of maintaining your balance. And you go look at most natural golf players. Pull up Natural Golf on the website on your computer and go look at their swings. You will see that no natural golf players have almost any chance of ever getting. They can't get to the tee finish. Their stance is too wide. Unless they really drag their foot, and because they can't get to their tee finish, and that's why they can't even really swing the club up. So they're basically hitting a 3/4 knockdown shot or punch shots all day, is what they look like, and they almost never can get to their forward leg and get into the tee finish because their stance is so wide. And you see that with some of these other rotational swings where if they rotate too much, they can't truly come up and finish because they'll stop falling backwards with their balance in the end of their golf swing because they've rotated around so much. The only way you can have a balanced finish is your arms and hands have to come back over your shoulder in line with your body, somewhat in and under your body, so you can have balance. Everything has to come back towards the center. The center of the swing, the rotation of the swing is around the neck, and the center of gravity of the body is the base of the spine. So we have to keep that in mind. So, hope this clears up the concept of the natural golf swing. I think if they played with a narrower stance, if they narrowed the stance up and they got a good grip, the natural golf swing I think could be said to be the peak performance golf swing. They get away from that, get to here, get the grip in the fingers where it's supposed to be, and stand up properly with the hands in the right place, hanging down from the shoulders. Finish straight in line. Natural golf is peak performance if you use the peak performance setup. So I think swing-wise, they're just about the same, except the fact that it can't really happen with the natural golf swing in their setup. And so I definitely think they're intermittent up the tree, but they can't really even do that effectively because they're out of balance to begin with. All right, so remember what we've always said. Setup determines the motion, and we have to be in dynamic balance. And dynamic balance throughout the golf swing to a dynamically balanced finish, and that's how you hit good golf shots, and that is impossible with the natural golf setup. But it is all possible, and it is, as we all know, being Surgites, with the peak performance golf swing setup and swing. Well, that's it for today from the Surge on comparing a much asked question about the natural golf swing versus peak performance. So that's it for today, and I'll be talking to y'all again soon.